Great to have you back on the program.
Well, I'm always glad to visit with such an organization as NRA that is so constitutionally oriented towards strict construction of the Constitution, and I'm glad after 225 years, we finally got the Supreme Court backing you up on the right to own arms individually.
No doubt about that, and there is a lot to talk about. To start out, as you know, Congressman Cummings held a forum today saying that as a result of Operation Fast and Furious, we need more gun control laws. We need an anti-gun trafficking law. We need stronger penalties for straw purchasers. Dealers need to report multiple sales of long guns. Your reaction to what went on today?
My reaction to it is that it's built upon a false hope that gun laws are going to keep guns from getting to people that are going to get them anyway. You know, how many people, before we had the Supreme Court decisions, how many people were arguing that by gun control you were going to have less murders? Well, they had outlawed guns completely here in Washington, D.C. for a long period of time, and you had the highest rate of murder in this state as almost any city in the country.
But when you look at this whole, they say, you know, this is a result of Fast and Furious. What difference would any gun law have made when you look at what happened? I mean, ATF broke the laws. They told their agents to stand down.
Well, you just answered your own question, but I agree with your answer. When you have the government promoting the illegal sale of guns with the idea that they ought to get into the hands of people that are going to misuse them, why, the government's the responsibility of it. It's not the individual gun owner. And in the process of trying to correct that through gun laws, you're compromising the constitutional rights that people have under the Second Amendment. So I'm not for doing it. Representative Cummings, I like him as an individual very much. He and I have had some good discussions, but he's wrong on this. And one place where it's very clear that he's wrong is in my reports and in my speeches, I gave some statistics refuting statistics that they're using, and even after I've said those and he heard them, they still continue to use the statistics that aren't accurate.
And that's so true. They used them again today. They threw it that 70% again.
Yeah, and that's just totally wrong. And so I think the intellectual basis for their report is going to be very obvious that it's biased, and it'll fall by its own weight.
And to use your words, you see this as just another distraction?
It's intended to be a distraction because you see there's somebody in the Justice Department that's responsible for all this. I don't know how high up, but it's probably pretty high up. And they're going to have egg in their face when the truth gets out on this. And any distraction, like they're putting out false information just last night on one of the whistleblowers, as an example, or they try to make Congressman Issa look bad with his investigation because they said he was briefed on this stuff maybe a year ago, and all those sort of things. They're doing their darndest to put impediments in the way and make this look like it's a political investigation instead of just normal congressional constitutional oversight.
And I'm sure you're going to share my feelings on this too, but really a tragedy when all you can remember is the family of Border Patrol agent Brian Terry there in Congress saying, we want to know the truth and for the people who signed off on this scandal to be held accountable. And then all you have today is, hey, we need more gun laws.
Yeah. Well, and we're still pursuing for the Terry family all the information we can. We're going to keep them as fully informed as we can. Hey, and by the way, you know, the last time we talked, we probably didn't have access to the documents that we requested. Now, I'm not saying we're going to get the access because it's one of these things, trust but verify. So right now I'm trusting, but I'm also trying to verify, and time will verify. But we did let the nomination of Deputy Attorney General move ahead. I held it up for about 6 weeks, put pressure on the Justice Department. They finally came around. Yesterday I had a conversation with the Attorney General, and the Attorney General said that he's glad that we're moving forward. They intend to keep up their end of the bargain. If I have any problems that they aren't, just to give him a personal call. So I hope that good faith is maintained.
Right.
And if it is, we'll get to the bottom of this.
And Senator, as you mentioned, you and Senator Leahy worked out an agreement with the DOJ. How did this all come about?
Well, it came about because we, first of all, we put a hold on the Deputy Attorney General for confirmation, and they needed to have that approved. They wanted to get it approved, but just by holding it up, it finally brought them to the table to sit down and negotiate with us what documents we wanted, and the same thing for, in a sense, for Congressman Issa.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you mentioned too, it didn't take very long. You lived up to your end of the deal. They approved those nominees, but you're confident you're going to get those documents?
You take it a step at a time, and right now we're involved. My staff is involved in the questioning of whoever we want to talk to or whatever documents we want to see. Now, they lead you to other documents and to other people to question, and so I got to take it a step at a time, but right now it seems to be working.
I've got to ask you, because Director Ken Melson has already said he doesn't want to be the fall guy. He says he didn't do anything wrong, that he says he was simply carrying out, his boss's wishes. I know at this point nobody knows what he's going to say, but what are the odds you really think he's going to come up there and start naming names, as Congressman Issa said he hopes he does?
Well, we're counting on that, and that's one of the reasons that I did not ask for Melson's resignation, even though I know Congressman Issa did, because he's been a professional person within there, and I don't know whether if he's not responsible for what happened, and he may be responsible, so I'd change my statement. But right now, I think there's a lot of people responsible. And what we're trying to do is encourage, by not asking for his resignation, trying to encourage getting the truth from Melson, because he knows a lot and can fill in a lot of the vacuum that we probably will end up having, because you got to know the right questions to ask. You got to know what documents you want, and you never really know all that information. And
I'm sure you're hoping you don't get another rerun of what we saw with Ronald White.
Absolutely not. That's a shame if that were to happen.
Will Melson testify at a formal hearing?
We don't know. Mm-hmm. But right now, presumably he will volunteer to be questioned by us individually and in private. And I think for the record. Okay. I mean, in other words, stenographic record.
All righty. Other witnesses, I know you said this will also include other witnesses. Can you give us an idea who you're looking at?
No, not right now.
Okay.
And I wouldn't be afraid to tell you if we knew, but one interview leads to another, and so I don't know what that other is right now.
Yeah. Congressman Issa has said he called it a treasure trove of information he's hoping for when Melson comes up there. And I was talking with a former DOJ attorney, and he was saying he doesn't think that Melson's going to be that forthcoming, that he's probably being coached by the DOJ. I mean, Melson's got his own attorney at this point, as I understand. What do you think about that?
Well, I'm just kind of counting on what can we sit down with him privately and get information that, and in a sense get the truth, and maybe get some information that you wouldn't get if you had an open hearing.